Hey, comedy fans, welcome to another edition of the Comedy at the Carlson Cast. My name is Vinny Paulino. I have the privilege of being your host, and today I'm going to be joined in studio by Pete Corielli. This episode is brought to you by our good friends at Three Heads Brewing, the makers of Rochester's most delicious beer. Remember, do good things and always be kind. And now, let's kick things off to the studio and get this episode started. Hey, good morning, comedy fans. My guest today is a writer, actor, and comedian. His latest comedy special, Let Me Tell You, is now available on iTunes, and he's one half of the Pete and Sebastian Show, which is available wherever podcasts are sold. And did I mention he's your headliner here at the Carlson this weekend? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Pete Corielli.
Vinny, how are you, man?
Never been better a day in my life.
All right, beautiful.
Let me ask you a question out of the gate here. What is it about 8 a.m. that people feel is a good time for a comedian to come in and just sell their show?
I don't know, but it really is a good time, you know what I mean? Because so many of us have so many bad vices that if you want to get a comic at his best, get him as soon as he rolls over.
That's not a bad idea.
Before he has time to get at it with the other stuff. But no, I don't mind doing it at this time. This is good. This is perfect, you know what I mean?
All right.
I always go through that with comedy, like, when I try to write stuff. Usually when I wake up after I walk the dog, I'll work out for a little while and then I write, and then I go through a phase where I'm like, I should just wake up and go right to writing, right? And then worry about the other stuff. Constantly, my entire career, I'm trying to always figure out when I'm really most creative.
It's like the first P of the morning. It's like the first brain dump of creativity in the morning.
Yes.
To be very valuable.
Yes, yeah. It seems to be, but then, I also like to just be up late night and just kind of tinkering. So it never ends, really. Well, you're always supposed to be thinking comedy. Like, I'm looking at you right now, Vinny, and I'm like...
Comedy.
I do not see a Vinny in
I
that
look like
face.
a Scott Bigham, don't I?
You look like a Scott, yeah. I look at you. You just pushed up your glasses with your finger. I just said that. Vinnies don't push up their glasses with their finger.
Fine.
Vinny, you got a chain, Vin?
No chain.
No chain. You call yourself a Vinny and you got no chain dangling?
I didn't call myself a Vinny. My parents called me a Vinny. And listen, I don't want to do my act here, but here's the story with that. When I was born, last name's Paulino.
Oh, my goodness.
Like
you were born making
Paulino.
a pizza.
Right. I had the dough coming out. The doctor flipped me once. I flipped the dough.
You didn't even have a toy doll like a Star Wars figure growing up. Your parents just gave you dough.
He gave me a Chef Boyardee can. Because that's going to be you. So they named me after my grandfather, Vincenzo, because I had like dark hair and olive complexion. And that turned out to be jaundice. So... here I am, the big white guy named Vinny. Isn't that fun for everyone? Isn't that a fun thing?
I love that name, though. I love Vinny and Tony. I have a daughter, but if she was a boy, I wanted to name Anthony and call Tony, and my wife was like not down with that. I just love Tony and Vinny.
Well, with the girl, you can go with the Tony with an I, right?
I could, but, it's Sadie as a name, so.
All right. Well, you have a little one, and I got to ask you this question. You get this a lot, and I know a little bit, but... You went to Fredonia to go play basketball, right?
Yeah, I played basketball at Fredonia State University.
Right. And now you live in Fredonia again.
Yes.
After you went to New York City and found some success in the business.
Yes. Yeah.
You decided that the move was back to Fredonia. I'm just hoping you could explain this to me and the listeners, what you were thinking.
I would be happy to, Vin. No one ever asked that, but it's funny because I went to Fredonia State. I played basketball, as you said. It's Division III.
Right.
I thought I'd play Division I, but turns out I didn't. But I had a ball.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, when I played at Fredonia State, I'll never forget the first practice. The coach says, try out. He goes, 12 guys make the team, but we can only afford sneakers for the first 8. So 4 of you will have to buy your own sneakers. And I'm like, well, this is a far cry from the scholarship I was getting to Duke when I thought when I was 10 years old.
You're trying to tell me you didn't make the sneaker cut?
I made the sneaker cut.
All right.
Started as a freshman. But so I grew up on Long Island, ended up in this, Fredonia town. But I loved it. The bars up. I loved it. I loved this quaint little town. So then I graduated, came to New York City, moved to New York City and did stand-up. And then early on, years ago, I met my wife at a wedding. She was the maid of honor and I was the best man. And we got to chatting. I instantly was in love with her. But she goes, "Oh, you're not going to know where I was from." I'm like, "Why?" She goes, "It's so far away. It's called Dunkirk, New York." And I go, "I went to Fredonia State. Oh my God, small world." So then we lived in New York City for 22 years. Then we moved to L.A. and I I thought I'd hate LA, but I was actually getting into it. I was boogie boarding. My wife would pick me up at the airport and we'd go straight to the ocean to boogie board. So, Vin, I was like getting into the LA thing.
What did you do?
I know, but then my wife got pregnant and she's like, you're always on the road. I don't really know anyone in LA. We hang out with the Maniscalcos, but other than that, we don't know anyone. So she's like, I want to be near my family. So I didn't want to live in Dunkirk. So Fredonia was this nice, quaint little town. And I said, and my wife goes, I remember her going, you know, Pete, it's not easy for me to move back to where I lived. You know, I go, yeah, move back to where you live. I'm living in a house now, Vin, that's about 3-4 houses down from the house I lived in college, drinking beers, playing wiffle ball. It's very weird to be back.
I bet.
But it's great for my daughter. I love the town, and I'm very happy there now. And it's funny, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, my house is right on the way to the bars. And you'll just sit in my living room or on the porch in the summer, and you see the kids coming in herds, like at about 9 o'clock.
That's my favorite thing about like the small towns, college towns.
Yeah.
All the bars are open and everyone is walking. It's pretty amazing.
It is. And I'm at the age, you'll appreciate this, right? I was part of that, going to college there, staying out late, coming home with the sub in my hand, drunk at 3 a.m.
There it is.
By the way, I told my daughter, you want to make some real money? You should sell hot dogs on our front lawn at midnight.
Why haven't you? Why don't you do that?
I know, right, man? But so anyway, what was the point I was making?
Get your Corielli plates. Come on over.
Yeah. Shoot, what was I saying, Vin? What was I going to tell it?
So the bars are open. You're part of it.
Right. So I was doing a gig a couple of years ago, and I'm driving home. And it's like 3 a.m. when I'm getting into Fredonia, and it's freezing out. I'm talking like 10 degrees, and there's like 7 or 8 drunk college girls waiting for the light to turn green. They're walking home. They got no jackets because, you know, when you get to the bar, the last thing you want to deal with is a jacket. Yeah. So they come out all dolled up. And I roll down my window, right? This is how much older I am. I go, girls! And they look over, and I'm like, you gotta get coats on! You're gonna get sick! You gotta get coats on, girls! This isn't, because they were drunk, and they thought they were fine. In my head, I'm like, they're gonna be dead by the time they get to the campus.
See, that's the dad DNA.
Yeah.
Dad DNA kicked in, it snapped in you, and now you became protective.
Yeah, they're like, we're all right, we're okay. I'm like, you're gonna get sick, girls.
I'm gonna call your dad when I see him. When I see your father.
Yeah.
Pete, that's such a weird transition. Boogie boarding to Fredonia.
I know, man. It really is. And then, like, I did a bit on stage. I need to get my roof done. So, long story short, we got a hold of an Amish guy. My father-in-law knows.
How?
My father-in-law lives in that town forever, right? And he goes, I know an Amish guy. I think he's still doing roofs. He's an old timer. And he goes, I got a phone number, but you got to let the phone ring for a long time because they only have one phone on a pole in the middle of their Amish community. And I'm in the kitchen with my wife. It's like ring 22, and my wife's like, anything yet? And I'm like, am I talking? Am I talking to anybody? You know? But
ring 22.
But here I am, you know, lived in New York City, then lived in LA, and now I'm calling an Amish roofer in my kitchen from Fredonia.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So you have a little one.
Yeah.
How old is she now?
8 years old now.
8 years old.
Yeah.
And you have a little one in the age of COVID.
Yeah.
Sounds like a blast.
I know, man.
Real hoops.
I know. We kind of got a little. We were a little more fortunate where we live because, small town, not as political, I guess. So everybody masked up, but they went to school. And even in the height of the pandemic, my daughter was in 2nd grade, and all 1st and 2nd graders went every day. No one else did. So, we kind of got lucky. If my kid was in 3rd grade, I probably would have, burnt down the building. I was just crazy. I mean, I remember Cuomo, who's having a really bad morning, huh? I'll never forget in the news.
When are they booking him? What is going on?
During the pandemic, and our governor goes, because now the kids were doing Zoom, and I'll never forget, he goes, these school buildings, will they ever go back? I mean, do we even need them? All these buildings and the maintenance, maybe we don't even need them. Maybe this is the new way. And I'm at home going, oh my God, this guy, he wants us all to homeschool forever? So,
wow.
It was crazy time, man.
Simultaneously across the state, parents
but
just started coughing up blood.
But the pandemic is, though, Vin, it's one of those things where, when you go to tell someone some horror story you had from it, you realize pretty quickly, why am I bothering telling this person? Everybody was in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all dealt with it.
All right. So you wanted to be an actor, huh?
I thought I did when I was in college. I took a class called Acting for Non-Majors, and I loved it. And I'll never forget the guy who was Tom Laughlin was the teacher. And one day, an old man walked in and started talking to us. And he's like, Tom couldn't make it. And I swear to God, I didn't even know it was him. And then eventually he took all of his stuff off, and it was our teacher. And I was like, oh.
He did that
that's
gag?
how, yeah. And I'm like, that's how good acting can be. I didn't even know it was him. So he was real fun, and he got me into acting. So when I graduated college, I got the headshots made, and I was going to try and be an actor. Never took an acting class, but I went on this one audition. I'd go on these big cattle call auditions with tons of people, and I met a couple of dudes online. They're like, we have an improv group. You want to do that? We just get together and da-da-da, and then we perform at comedy clubs at like 5 o'clock at night. We have to bring an audience. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. And I always loved stand-up comedy as a kid. So then...
Did you have the conception, like when somebody just says to you, hey, come join an improv team, of like what that meant? Had you ever seen him?
I have, and and they're a bunch of weirdos, you know. We do freeze tag and all these weird improv games, and I hate improv, and I never liked Saturday Night Live. I'm not a sketch guy. I just don't like that stuff comedy-wise. But it was something creative to do when no one was giving me anything. But the second show we ever did at a comedy club is a stand-up New York on the West Side, and afterwards they'd all go out and get some beer. But I go to the club owner. I saw they were starting to get ready to seat for a comedy show. Yeah. And I said, if I pay for my beers, can I watch the show? And he was like, yeah, stick around. I'm telling you, Vin, by the second comic, my jaw was just, the guy wasn't hilarious or anything, but it was just like, oh my God, that's I want to do that.
What do you think
I want to do that.
What do you think it was?
I just love the independence of it. Like, it's just me. Nobody, you know, I can't say the wrong thing because I'm just saying whatever I say. I don't have to follow a script. I always thought I was funny and that I could command the room like that, you know? And I just fell in love with it. I mean, some of these young comics today, and they're like, oh, when I run into them, do you think I should move to New York or LA? Like, the fact that you're
Fredonia. Why are you asking?
But well, I didn't for years. But you just go for it or you don't, man. Right. You know what I mean? And like I fell in love and I just went for it. And you know, like my dad said, he's like, I never saw anybody just go for something like the way you did, man.
Well, you did the move, man. You did the move. Which is one of those things that comics these days I don't think appreciate. Is you actually like bartered services for stage time, didn't you?
Oh yeah, New York Comedy Club, which is a hole in the wall comedy club, and I used to do open mic there. And then there was a kid there that used to like mop and sweep, and he'd get stage time. Well, the owner of the club told that kid, "You don't have to do that anymore. I'll give you stage time." And so that kid said, his name is Mike Bichetti, can Pete Corelli have that job? And the owner of the club said, yeah, you can have it. You don't get paid. You have to be at the club before the show starts, mop the floor, put the tables down. Then I would have to put the garbages out during the show and then clean up at the end. But I would get on every night for 5 minutes, which is gold, you know?
That is.
And I remember I had a college degree, and I'm calling my dad, going, Dad, I get to mop the floor, and I get on stage, and he's like, I'm proud of you. But, you know, and the very first night I did it, Vin, I'll never forget it. There was 2 people left by the time it was my turn to go on, and 2 drunk guys. And I go, the MC goes, Pete, you're next. I'm in the back cleaning, and I go, it's cool. I'm just getting settled in here. I'll start tomorrow. I'll go on stage tomorrow. And the owner of the club comes in the back, and he goes, listen, you know, you're cleaning this, you're doing all this work for free for the stage time. You're lucky there's 2 people. There may be 1 person sometimes, okay?
Tomorrow, there's going to be no people.
You got to get your ass up there or else you're wasting your time. You're not going to, what are you here to clean my shit for free? Get up there. And he made me get up there, and I would just every night, and you get better. And then eventually, you know, someone says, hey, why don't you come down to this club and do a spot? And you're like, what? And it just grows, you know? And like I remember the first time I passed the Comedy Cellar, it was the most exciting thing. I can call in every week and tell her when I'm available, and maybe she'll give me a spot. And then as exciting as that was, I'll never forget one weekend I said, well, I'm not going to play the Comedy Cellar. I don't want to go all the way down there this weekend. Yeah. I'm just going to play the comic strip right up here in my neighborhood. I live in the Upper East Side.
Right.
And then the woman who runs the Comedy Cellar called me. I see that you're playing at the comic strip. How come you're not coming down here to play? And I remember getting off the phone, going to my wife, oh my God. I was always a dream to pass that club. Now she's calling me saying you're in the city and you're not playing my room.
That's an unbelievable feeling.
And for a comic, it's like better than a Letterman spot, man. Like the SD to like have that kind of feeling about your stand-up, forget it.
That's incredible.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, you know stand-up then, because in the comic world it is. But to anyone who doesn't know comedy is listening, they're like, I don't even know what the fuck
Well,
you're talking about.
folks, this is not a fun business.
More often
It
than
is.
not, no.
The nitty gritty of it, the getting started, is so hard. It's one of those things that people, they think they see a performer and they think stand up looks easy on stage because they make it look easy.
Yeah.
Getting someone to let you go on stage to get to that
Yeah.
is the battle.
It really is, because, even during the pandemic, you can write till you're blue in the face. But, you still don't know if people are going to find this stuff as funny as you find it. So until you're in front of an audience in one way or another, with the light on you and the mic and the waitresses and all of it, man, it's all part of it, And someone's got to give you that stage time.
And it's literally like a tree falling in the woods. What is a comedian without an audience?
I tell you, Jim Norton, who I see on your wall, he says this sometimes, and I couldn't agree more. The one thing I do miss, though, is back during those shows, a lot of people would bomb because we weren't that good yet.
Sure.
And it was so fun to watch somebody bomb because it's just so painful.
It's still one of my favorite pastimes. I'm not going to lie.
No, it is. But I don't see it that often anymore because all the guys I know and do shows with, they're all, they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? So even when they don't do well, they still get laughs. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But back in the day, people always say to me, how do you handle it when you bomb? I go, I was on shows though where everybody was bombing. We're all at the same level, So,
but let's be real. Is there really, truly, when you're in the business of comedy, anything funnier than watching one of your best friends bomb?
No, it's hilarious.
It's the greatest thing ever.
It really
and
is.
it happens to everyone. It's happened to every single performer.
Yeah.
So we all we can take turns laughing at this.
Yeah, yep.
It's a shared trauma.
Yeah, I remember one show. Everyone was bombing at this Boston Comedy Club, and then I go up and I start to bomb, and I go to the crowd. Oh man, I'm sitting in the back going, "It's not the crowd, it's the comics. I'm gonna turn this room around." And then I go, "It turns out it's the crowd," and all the comics start laughing because you all have that mentality as the comic. I'll get him.
Yeah, there's a bad habit I feel like some young comics get into where they focus on it being the crowd's fault as opposed to their own fault or the comic's fault.
Yeah, it's never the crowd's fault.
I feel like there's a healthy mix, maybe 70-30 comics fault. Maybe
I always blame the comic. You can't, if you blame the crowd, then you're always giving yourself an excuse. You always got to blame ourselves for not getting the laugh. I mean, the rarity. Like I remember doing this private event once with Colin Quinn. And it was this rich guy's backyard, a mansion. And he had this flowing fountain, a big flowing fountain that was like 30 feet in front of the stage, and everyone was seated around the fountain. And I was opening for Colin, so I had to do like 10, 15 minutes, and I did real good and just, made fun of him for being so rich. But he had to do an hour. And, at points it got not so great, And then we're driving home in a car, and he's like, I bombed, da-da-da. And I go, Colin, there was a fountain 30 feet in front of you that they never turned off. Why are you beating yourself up? We're not equipped to make people laugh with a running fountain. Some of the people were looking at you through flowing water, and you're sitting here blaming yourself like you didn't kill. Sorry, your jokes don't well in front of a fountain. But again, Colin's a comic's comic, so he's always going to blame himself.
Well, yeah. Colin is just a special breed of person, I think, in general.
He's a lot of our inspiration, man. He really taught a lot of us how to do it just from watching him do it.
One of the greatest, writers, I think.
Yeah.
A truly brilliant guy, Colin.
And the guy's just got so much respect for the craft. So much respect for it. It's so cool to watch.
When you first got into it, did you really want to make it a career, or was it just you wanted to have an outlet?
Oh, my God. Right out of the gate, I'm like, I want to do this the rest of my life. If I find someone and fall in love, they need to understand that I'm doing this. And I always say to anyone who really wants to do comedy, it has to be something that you can't not do. You can't, you love it so much that you just can't not do it. And if you don't feel that way about it, you're probably not going to make it because it can be brutal. It's different now, though. These young kids today, it's a different kind of stand-up now because they're all, you don't have to go to a club and work on your act and then eventually get the headline and build up a following. You don't do that anymore. You could stay in your basement and make funny clips until one of those clips hits. Right?
Yeah.
And then you can go play these clubs and all those people are going to come see you. And then, you're not going to be that funny because you don't have an act, but those people aren't even going to give a shit. It's unbelievable.
And sometimes the clubs don't even care. They're
Yeah,
just like,
the
"Come on
clubs. I mean, a club like this is one of the best because it's building its own reputation as you come here, you're going to see a good show.
Yeah.
We book great comedians.
Right.
And when you have that foundation, that's, as a club, you're all set because you get that reputation, people are going to come. But some of these other clubs around the country, they're only as good as the guy or gal that they bring in.
Yeah. We'll toss the U2 back in the Rickles room.
Yeah. I saw a comedian once. I'm not going to name names. A famous guy from acting stuff, but he's also, I guess, a comedian. One of those I didn't even know he was a comedians, And I was doing this casino gig at a comedy club in Foxwoods, and I was playing the comedy club, and he was playing like a 5,000 seat theater. And the guy who booked me booked him. And he's like, you want to go over and see him? His show just started when yours ended, right? I had this fun, great show. We walk over there. I watch about 5 to 10 minutes, and I couldn't even watch it. It was so unwatchable, not funny at all. And then we come out, and we're chatting, me and the owner of the club, and he agreed too. He's like, hey, he sold it out. That's all I know, And we're having a beer or something. And then people start coming out. And the club owner goes, oh, is it over? And we ask one couple, and they both go, no, it's not over, but but we saw him, And he goes, oh, did you like it? Yeah, it was great to see him.
So did you get to talk to Jeremy Piven after?
It wasn't him, but very close idea. But my point of it was said to the club owner, I go, you see my point? They don't even care that the guy wasn't funny. They just wanted to see him.
Touch the hem of his garment.
Yeah, and it's like, Brad Pitt could sell out the Funny Bones tomorrow if he wanted to. No one's going to care if he goes up there and reads.
Charlie Sheen did.
I know.
Charlie Sheen tour was the craziest thing in the world.
I would have liked to have seen just for the train wreck it was. Although Jeff Ross was on it and he's great. So,
what did Jeff Ross do?
I think he started like. Didn't he MC it? I thought.
God.
Yeah.
How do you even MC that?
I know.
Well. Do you know where I first heard you, Pete?
Where, Vince?
Sirius XM.
Oh, okay.
You and Brewer Unleashed.
Yeah, me and
Those
Brew.
were the days, man.
Yeah.
How's Jim? Do you talk to him very often?
Oh, yeah. Me and Jim keep in touch. And, we actually did a private gig together a few months back and near his house. And then we just, till 3 in the morning, just sitting in his backyard, drinking beer and having so many laughs. And we were talking a lot about those days, man. We had fun there. We had so much fun at Sirius. I remember when Chris Cornell passed away.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone with my friend DJ Lou, who's our producer, and I go, damn, man, that guy seems so cool. And he goes, what do you mean seemed? And I go, no, he just seemed like, he goes, bro, we had him on the show. We hung out with him for a half hour. Don't you remember? You kept saying how good looking he is, and then I'm like, oh my God, that's right. So we had so many.
He got very uncomfortable.
No, he was
way to go, Pete.
He was a cool dude, man. But the point is, we just would have so many people on that sometimes you don't even remember who you got to meet. Roger Daltrey, Matt Dillon, that was a fun one.
Was there ever someone who came in where you just like didn't know what to say to him? Like you were just like, if Roger Daltrey came in here and sat down,
yeah,
I would just be like,
yeah,
that's so hard.
Yeah, the hardest one, the favorite one probably was Stern. Had just signed with Sirius XM, but wasn't on the air yet or anything like that.
So we're talking like 2006-ish.
Yeah, and he came walking. He was doing a tour, walking around Sirius, and he knows Brewer, and he saw us, and he came in, and he sat down and went on the radio with us. That was like, oh my God, my hero, man, sitting right next to me. So
that's got to be uncomfortable. How do you not just let him take over the show at that point?
I know. Yeah, I remember saying to him too. I go, sometimes Howard, I try to come up with these bits, and I come up with something for radio, and then I'm like, oh man, did they ever do something like this back in the day? And he was so cool. He's like, don't worry about anything we did. Just do your thing. Do your thing. Wow. Although now, bro, he's a little tough to listen to now. It's getting sad.
It's not a lot of fun.
Oh man.
I'm not going to be on the podcast and shit talk the king of all media.
I know.
But, I'm not going to argue. I was at a car wash listening to his show, and I'm in the car wash, and he started talking about his cats. Right? You know how he's got like a million cats because his wife's an animal rescue? And he says, our bedroom, we have the ashes of all these cats. And I'm like, you're telling me that Howard Stern sleeps in like a cat cemetery? A cremated cat cemetery? Like, I can't even believe what I was listening to.
Right? So much of what he talks about now, like, you would have shredded the person years ago that's doing what you're doing right now. You would have made fun of that person so bad.
There's nobody to make fun of him anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's podcasts, and you have a very famous podcast. You have a very, very popular podcast.
Well, it's getting there, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's getting...
Come on. You tried to tell me here.
Well, you know, I mean, Sebastian Maniscalco is just...
It's nice of you to carry him. It's very nice of you.
Yeah, I do my best. I try to put him on the map a little bit.
Yeah, well done. Well done, sir.
I know. Yeah, no, he just absolutely blew up. I mean, 4 sold-out shows in Madison Square. All the things he does, it was like...
The Knicks can't even do that anymore.
I know. Yeah. Oh my God! I said, bro, you're playing places that like Bono from U2 is like. Why can't we play that night? Oh, who's there? I go, you know. I remember when I do stand up, and eventually, like, at one time I was playing a theater, and Smash Mouth was going to be there 3 weeks after me, and I was like, wow, I'm on the same billboard. I go, you're bumping U2.
I mean, what a weird dynamic, because you two are just friends. So, when that dude blew up, he blew up. Like, it felt very sudden with him.
Yeah, I mean, it maybe did to the general public, but I have been friends with him for forever, and when I met him, it was about 8-9 years ago. We did a tour of some place together, and we became friends like pretty quickly. He was kind of popular, but you know, it was like over the course of 8 years, it was just incredible seeing, like, you know, 10 sold out shows at Gotham Comedy Club, and you're like, wow, geez, it's crazy. And then this sold out, that sold out, and then doing this and then, you know, and sometimes early on, podcast listeners once in a while would be like, send me something like, oh, don't you feel bad, or like trying to stir the pot, but it's like, he's my friend, and I mean, you know, one thing doesn't equate to the other. I never think like, oh, if that guy's not famous, that means maybe I will be. Sure. And quite frankly, I'd rather do a podcast with somebody that's putting eyeballs on it and ears on it, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of trying to get eyeballs and ears on it, tell me what you hate about Sebastian the most. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. So...
No, I love that guy, man. Love that guy.
It's a great show. It's very funny, and I'm sure, you know, you're used to people coming up and telling you that, but...
No, I'm not, man, and I really appreciate it. And, like, the past couple of years specifically, I really started to see more and more people, like, thank us for it and stuff. And then, I think during the pandemic, because we were on video, too, so many people, so nice to say, you got us through the pandemic, you got us, which, you know, everybody got themselves through. But I just think, like... we were the one thing you could put on, seemingly, and we weren't really talking that much about it. We were just, like, talking. I mean, we complained like everybody else, but we weren't getting political and stuff. And everything was, I mean, right? You couldn't even watch a baseball game without the announcers bad-mouthing Trump. You know, I'm like, dude, just call the game, guy. You know?
It was such a weird environment because when sports started again, I was like, oh, thank God. There's like something I could watch. We got some basketball, and I thought the NBA did a cool job. But then I go to watch baseball, and there's like the cardboard fans with the plastic masks on the cardboard fans. Like, what are we doing?
We're going to look back on all this and be like, oh, my God, I can't believe we survived that.
Yeah.
My God.
This is the shit that grandkids are going to ask us about. Like, you were alive during that?
Yeah. But no, the cast is, I'm very grateful for it, you know what I mean? And we have a lot of fun doing it. And I think because it's just me and him, and we don't really ever have guests except JJ Watt, which is just, we're just big fans, and he's a friend and stuff, so that's always fun.
So, just a pal, JJ Watt.
I was playing in Milwaukee once, and he's like, why don't you stay at the house, right? And I'm like...
whose house?
His house. But he was still like an hour and a half from the club. So I was like, well, it's kind of far to commute. It's so nice. You know, he goes, well, come out for a day, you know. So I got a rental car and I drive out. It was so surreal, man. Watt is literally standing in his doorway, holding onto the door frame. And I'm pulling up his driveway. And I'm like, I'm fucking hanging out with JJ Watt.
That man's like a monster.
And just, I can't even, like, there's a level of nice guys like Billy Gardell from Mike and Molly, JJ Watt. There's like 5 of them that are just like saintly, so nice. And, he's got this big ATV, and we each get a cup of coffee, and we get in his ATV, and we drive around his whole property, and we're just bullshitting. He's telling me all about the quarterbacks, and it was just great, man. He's such a great guy. And then it was his girlfriend at the time, his wife now. She showed up a little later on. We chatted with her for a while. And then he came to a show with all of his brothers. So, yeah.
TJ,
and then when he played the Buffalo Bills, he left tickets, and then he came out onto the field. He goes, I'll take a photo with you on the field after the game. But they lost. And now I'm sitting there with my wife going, oh, Watt's in the shower right now going, oh, God, I got to go back out on the field to take that photo with Corielli. But he did, man. So, yeah, my point is we never have guests. And now it's like, me and Smash were talking about, wouldn't it be cool to just always have this thing that we do? Yep. And then, we could have great grandkids that someday want to know what their dad their great grandfather was really like. You pop this thing in and sit back.
Time capsule.
It's a time capsule, man. So, anyway, cool. Yeah.
So, do you ever, when you sit there and you're riding around on an ATV with JJ Watt, thinking, thank God I mopped those floors, huh?
Yeah. I got to tell you. Thank God. Here's my highlight, though. Thank God I mopped those floors. Camping once a few years ago, get a phone call out of nowhere from Kevin James, who I've always loved. And he says, I got this new sitcom. I got a lot of writers in the room, but I could use another comic. You want to come write on this thing? And he's like, I've always been a fan. He's stand-up, and he listens to the cast. So I was like, I couldn't believe it. So I was like, I'd love to. We were on Long Island, and we filmed it on Long Island, and Kevin grew up on Long Island, where I did too. And Billy Joel, if you're from Long Island, he's your hero, So he's just my hero. And Kevin's friends with him, and he loves him too. So about 2 weeks into writing there, Kevin calls me into the office, and he's like, what are you doing tonight? And I'm like, nothing. We all got apartments here. We got nothing going on. He's like, we're going to see Billy Joel at the Garden, and we're going to say hi to him before the show backstage, right? So, and we're going to hang out backstage. I'm like, awesome, right? So we meet Billy.
That's pretty nice.
And I know a guy in his band, so I've never met Joel, but I've met the guys in the band that hung out. But we're chatting with Billy Joel. And then Billy goes, yeah, Tony Bennett's coming out to sing a song. He goes, but Billy goes, you got to kind of follow Tony because you don't know what Tony's going to do. It's probably kind of like when Biden gives a speech, everyone's like, got their fingers crossed.
Was there a teleprompter?
Yeah, right?
For Tony Bennett.
So I go to Joel. I go, oh, no, Billy, I saw you at Shave. Tony Bennett was performing. I go, I don't even think he knew he was outside, bro. And Billy started laughing. And a few minutes later, Joel goes, what are you guys doing after the show? And Kevin's like, nothing. Why, what's up? And he goes, I'm going to Chaz Palminteri's restaurant. I'm going to have dinner with Chaz. Why don't you guys come? And in my head, I'm like, that was because of my Tony Bennett comment. That sealed the deal for me. And then there I was, Vinny. I had dinner with Chaz Palminteri, Kevin James, and Billy Joel. Oh, my God.
Now, during that dinner.
Yeah.
That's a lot of social pressure.
That
might be too much for your pal Vinny. Vinny might tap out on that. Vinny might be like, hey, listen, maybe I'll catch up with you guys after the golf drink, where there's somewhere where there's music on, where I can take back a little bit and just see how this goes.
Yeah.
Sitting down for dinner with Billy Joel and Chaz Palminteri, one of the actors, playwrights of our time.
I know. I was more of I didn't say a whole lot, but I did say, I'll never forget at one point, we're all chatting, and I go, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can we just acknowledge I start clapping the show that we just saw tonight? And Billy's like, oh, thank you. The guy just played the Garden, and he sits down, and, we all chat like he just punched out at a bank or something,
That's hysterical.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that, because just last night, when I got back to my hotel room, I don't know why, I had a beer from the hotel bar, and I'm up in my room, and I Googled the scene from Bronx Tale when he goes, now you just can't leave. When the bikers came in and they disrespected the joint. Oh, what a beautiful scene,
Chaz.
And he holds him up after he beats the biker up. He's got his face. He goes, look at this face. Remember, I'm the one that did this to you. Oh, man.
I always wondered, when people read these scripts or write this stuff down, where they're just when somebody reads it going, wow, this psycho wrote this.
Yeah, right?
That's intense.
Yeah.
That's intense.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, Pete Corielli is going to be here for 4 more shows this weekend here at the Carlson. I could talk to you all day, but I know you have another interview coming up. So thank you for your time.
Vin, I had a blast with you, man. I could talk to you all day, too. I don't even feel like we're doing it. We're just chatting, man.
Well, come on back after your next show. We'll turn the cameras back.
All right, man.
But PeteCorielli.com from more information, you can check out his special, Let Me Tell Ya. It's available now on iTunes. And also, let me throw this out there. Your special, For Pete's Sake, on All Things Comedy, that was one of my favorite specials when it came out. I really, really loved it. So
thank you, man.
That's on YouTube. You can go watch that after you come see Pete live this weekend.
Oh, thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week. Until then, act right. We'll see you at a show.
Can I do a future plug for your show?
Please.
And in a few weeks, folks, you're going to have... Dude, Bobby Kelly. Bobby Kelly.
That weekend, come on out.
Yeah. Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Bobby.
I love Bobby, too, so it'll be a fun one. But
You
thanks
know
for
what,
having me.
dude?
You know what, dude? It's just like, dude.
The last time he was here, he hijacked this show. We wanted to talk about Marvel movies. We had a nice time.
Oh, yeah?
All right,
Awesome.
folks. We'll be back. We'll see you next week. Thank you for being awesome and watching another episode of the Carlson Cast. Don't forget we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube every Friday morning. You could also follow us on social media on Twitter and Instagram at CarlsonCast. You can listen anytime on iTunes, Google Play, and we're now available on Spotify. You should also check out an amazing app called Laughable. And on the Laughable app, you can connect to your favorite comedians in a way you never thought you could before. Download it in the App Store and visit carlsoncast.com for information on more shows. And don't be a jerk. Rate and review.